going to talk a little bit about the tool that's used out here, which is the machete. Back home in the UK, Europe, we tend to use for bushcraft, for example. We use a bushcraft knife such as the Mora clipper, or Mora companion. We use a folding saw such as the Baco Laplander, and larger than that we'd use an axe or a bow saw, Baco bow saw. Now those tools to some degree are usable out here, but the materials really lend themselves well to a machete. The materials are very, very hard. You need to cut through them, you need to chop. The sweet spot on a machete that's used back home with a knife, we would tend to use this area here, which is the sharp bit. That's the bit that's easiest to sharpen, it's good for fine work. Here, it's this area here. This is the bit that really, when you're chopping, gets momentum and does its thing. It takes a right beating because it does everything from digging the steps in the clay to cutting down bamboo, to chopping down trees or palms, or building shelters, or even gutting fish if it's sharp enough, which it should be able to be. It's made of carbon steel, and the ones out here, they are flexible. You've got Tramontina, which is the brand. I think they're made in Brazil. This is the one I got from Bushmasters, from Ian back in 2015, I think it was, and I brought it back with me because I use it back home, but this is what it was designed for. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of maintenance with the file. Every sheath comes with a file that's included, like a little rat's tail. You might be looking and thinking, well, you're running your hand towards the blade. I am, but very carefully. It's just how it's done out here. So I'm doing short strokes all the way along it, all the way to the end, giving special attention and focus to the area I really want to sharpen. And then I turn it over and do the same thing. Keeping this sharp is incredibly important, because the sharper it is, the less effort you need to put into chopping things. And I can't think of a day that I've had this where I haven't had to pull it out over here in the jungle to use it to chop a track, chop a pathway, chop some food, chop some materials, whatever it is. You're always using this. Even as far as preparing fire and using it to prepare feather sticks. So, incredible tool. It's meant to be flexible. Some of the stuff, or the tactical stuff you get back in the UK is very, very stiff, very hard, very heavy and rigid, which is great. But this stuff, these ones behave much, much better because they're allowed to kind of go into the wood and twist and turn. Whereas if you've got a heavy hand axe, which is a long sort of tactical machete, and it gets stuck, that's it. Because these are nice and thin as well, it means when you are gutting things or preparing game, you haven't got this big bulky material trying to do the work for you. Just to take off the burrs. Ordinarily I would strop a blade like this, but to be fair, this takes such a battering that as long as you sharpen it regularly and repeatedly after use, it should maintain itself. This is carbon steel. This was polished when I brought it back out here, but the humidity and where we've been has just meant that this has gone and turned to rust again, which again is normal. So this will be given some TLC when taken home. They have wooden handles rather than synthetic handles, because wood with your hands, it tends to grip better when you get sort of like damp palms and that. If you get plastic or rubber, they can slip out here in the wet, but wood gives you a nice grip. All in all, a very good tool, and to be fair, if I was left with one choice of tool anywhere in the world, this would be way up there. I think. Standard bushcraft knife is good and very versatile, but there's not much this thing can't do. And for this environment, it's the perfect tool. Brilliant.